I do believe a clean Mitsubishi Eclipse is worth $30,000 in 2022. I might get some backlash for it, but let's talk about it. What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about what a Mitsubishi Eclipse is worth. If you're looking to buy one, have sold one in the past, or have bought one in the past, let me know what you guys think about my opinion when it comes to what these are worth now. Of course, these cars have always been a good alternative for an Evo because Evos have always been expensive from the get-go. So the Eclipse was always the cheap two-door Evo that you could pretty much beat 90% of the cars on the road with a boost controller and a tune. But those days are long gone because Eclipses have been skyrocketing in price since 2020. So I do acknowledge that there has been a pandemic, inflation, all of that going on. So everything's been going up in prices. But I do believe that even though inflation is occurring, I do believe that certain 90s legends and icons are going to end up keeping their value, and if anything, keep going up in price as they become harder and harder to find. And I do believe the Mitsubishi Eclipse is on that list. Now, I don't want you guys to think that I am biased towards the price of the Mitsubishi Eclipse because I have owned many over the last 10 years, but I do want to keep this as unbiased and fair as possible. So I did go ahead and research the current market value on the Facebook groups, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, asking people. I actually went on KBB, which you shouldn't actually look up. I went on places like Hagerty, the valuation tool. If you guys don't know who they are, they're basically a classic car insurance company, which actually has a valuation tool on their website. I'm not sponsored by them in any way or form, but I do have them as my insurer for the Evo, the 3000 GT, and Eclipse. I think you should have access to their valuation tool on their website. So you actually want to check what your car is currently valued at. You could go ahead and check it out. So we will be using them today as my source. I don't want you guys to think that I'm just pulling these numbers out of my behind because this is just what I'm seeing on the market. I'm sure a lot of you guys are. Now, when it comes to Eclipses, they have always been super cheap. I did make a Mitsubishi Eclipse buyer, guys, I think right when the pandemic started. I'll go ahead and put a little clip of the video here. Guys, let's start with the RS. The RS model, which is basically the base model, you could actually find at most for like $1,000 or less. So depending on condition, yeah, depending on condition, if it's running, not running, has a little dandruff. But yeah, expect to pay around $1,000 for a good running RS. Now a GS, I've seen them range anywhere from $1,000 to even like $2,500. I actually paid $2,800 for my car way back in 2012, and this was actually a GS model. And now we're gonna get into the turbo GST model. Obviously this one's not running. This one's pretty much worth $50 to $100 depending on the buyer, but a good running GST will actually run like what, like around like $3,000 or so.
Yeah, 3,000.
3,000. Now once we get into the all-wheel drive model, the GSXs, they range anywhere from around 3,000 to like what, dude, I actually saw one last year sold for like 22. Remember the guy in Florida? It was a super clean, low model one. These are getting super rare. When you see a GSX, expect to pay anything from 3 to 7K or so, depending on condition. So as you guys can see, I did underprice the Eclipses by a lot back then because they're almost worth 4 times the price now. So a lot of you guys are gonna say, oh, it's because of inflation, this and that, everything went up in price. That still holds true. I actually checked on Hagerty and it is showing a little bit of a decrease in prices when it comes to certain cars, including the Eclipse. But if we're looking a long term, as rare as these cars become and harder to get, the more they're gonna increase in value because the demand for them is always going to be there. It's always a car that a lot of people desire, and it's always going to be something that people want as a project car. But of course, everything is finite. Mitsubishi no longer makes them, and well, they're gonna become even more expensive as time goes by. So where do I see the Mitsubishi Eclipse going, 10, 20 years from now? I don't know, maybe 40, 50, 60, 70K. For the super clean unmolested stock GSXs. But again, that's just me. You guys let me know in the comment section what you guys think. But I'll go ahead and put that buyer's guide up here in the corner for you guys to check out just in case you're looking to buy a Mitsubishi Eclipse. As far as the prices, let's talk about it in this video because a lot of things have changed over time. So if you're actually looking to buy one, I would actually recommend for you to join the Facebook groups. There's a bunch of DSM groups all over. Doesn't mean you have to buy one now, but I actually ended up doing that for the RX-7. As you guys know, I do want an FD RX-7 in my life, but unfortunately they also skyrocketed in price. Back then you could find one for like 20 grand for a clean one. Now they're going for like 60, which is insane. But I'm still in the group either way just to kind of keep track of the price and see how they fluctuate. As far as Eclipses, I do find the DSM community, I'm sorry guys, but they have a crabs in a bucket mentality. What is that? Is basically when you see other people selling their Eclipses for a lot lot more than what that person sold it for some reason they get mad and they don't want them to sell it for that price. So they end up bashing the guy, the seller, and just telling them that the car's not worth that much. It might not be worth that much to you, but you got to realize that markets change, things change, and Eclipses are going to go up in price no matter what. So you guys really need to stop having that type of mentality, because if you guys keep doing that to the Eclipse, you're only making your platform worth a lot less. And of course, people are going to undersell them for what they're really worth. As you guys can see, the Supras, the NSXs, the 3000 GT guys, they always push their cars to be worth a lot more than, you know, what they think they are. And that's actually a good thing, because you want to push your car and platform to be worth a lot more. I don't know why you would want your car to be worth less than what it is. If anything, you should be the opposite way and tell the sellers, hey, good luck with the sale. Hope you got what you're asking for. And a lot of Eclipses have actually been selling for a lot. And if you guys have been keeping track of the prices of the Eclipses, it was a pretty big deal in the groups, because someone sold an Eclipse GSX for $40,000 on Bring a Trailer, and some people were mad about it. I don't know why. They think it's still worth $3-4 grand. But no, times are changing. You also got to recognize that a lot of these people that are barely getting into Eclipses now didn't get to see those numbers back in the day, so they actually think this number is actually normal. And I remember back in the day when I had my Eclipse, I saw a lot of Eclipses, GSTs, and GSXs go for like $500 for a non-running one, all the way up to like $3 grand for like a decent one. So it's crazy how far they've come. Obviously those days are long gone, but I think I kind of regret that, because I could have honestly bought a bunch of them and probably resold them for 2 to 3 times the price now. And for those that still don't believe me, let's hop over to the Hagerty. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Here we have Hagerty. So we have their price guide and what they think the car is worth. So if you guys don't know what Hagerty is, by the way, I'm not sponsored by them. I do insure my cars through them, but they don't know I'm making this video or anything like that. I did find their valuation tool online to be really helpful when it comes to figuring out what a car is worth, because they are a classic car insurance company. Now, if you want to get insured with them, it's a little bit tricky, because you can't drive your car as often. I think you have to have it in the garage. They ask you to send pictures, and they're very picky with who they insure or not. So I was able to insure all of my cars. I was actually scared, because I didn't think they were going to insure my 3000 GT because of the condition that I got it in, but luckily they actually did, I guess, considering how rare the 98 is. So you guys could actually start insuring your Eclipses, GSTs, and GSXs, even your GS. If you guys remember, I had my white turbo Eclipse. I actually had it insured through Hagerty for $5,000. So that just goes to show that as long as the car's clean, you kind of submit pictures and they kind of approve it, you should be okay. You do need a daily driver though. You need to prove that to them in order for them to basically insure your cars, your weekend cars. So they do have a price guide. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the 99 Mitsubishi Eclipse here, but I wanna go over how they kind of define what the car's worth. The concours condition is basically, these are the best in the world. You can't really find a cleaner one around. So obviously these are gonna be fetching the most money. These are the perfectly clean, the vehicle that has been groomed down to the tire treads, painted and chrome surfaces are mirror-like, dust and dirt are banned, and materials are correct and superbly fitted. So I guess it's just everything is super clean, unmolested, no signs of wear. And of course, these are really, really hard to find. And these are basically the unicorns. They still exist. I have seen a couple. And as you guys saw in the Bring the Trailer one, it wasn't in the best conditions either, but it did fetch 40 grand, which is pretty crazy. And right below that, we have 2 excellent condition. So these are vehicles that could win our local or regional car show. They might even be a former #1 vehicle that had been driven or aged. So these are cars that are super clean. They're driven around, obviously. They have their signs of age, but they're still really well taken care of. And they do deserve a really good, selling point. Okay, so right below that, we have good. So these are the vehicles that drive and run well but are not used for daily transportation. These are the casual passerby will not find any visual flaws, but these vehicles might have some incorrect parts. Vehicles could possess but not all of the issues of a #4 vehicle, which is basically non-running or decent condition. So basically these are the cars that are pretty much used and abused. Your average Eclipse GSX, that's basically what they're referring to as far as good condition. And of course you have your fair condition. As you guys can see the pictures here, these are cars that are pretty much not running. Shells, things need a lot of repairs, a lot of aesthetic and engine maintenance. So these are the daily drivers. The flaws are visible to the naked eye. Windshield might be chipped. The body has dents. Imperfect paintwork. Split seams or cracked dash might be present. No major parts are missing. There might be non-stock additions. #4 vehicle can also be a deteriorated restoration. So basically these are cars that are pretty much in need of restoration. So these are basically the conditions that they're pricing these cars in. Of course, you could go ahead and use your valuation tool to find out your specific year and trim. I'm going to be going ahead and looking up the 1999 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX, which is the last year and basically the best trim for these cars, which is the all-wheel drive turbo model. So as of September in 2021, as you guys can see in the graph here, a concours condition is worth $28,300, which might be insane to some of you guys, but just like I previously said, 30 grand for a Mitsubishi Eclipse that's super clean is more than fair. If you're looking to buy one and you have that type of money, you might be overpaying to a lot of people, but realistically, I do believe these are going to keep increasing in value and you will not lose your money in the long term. So excellent condition, we have 18,900, good condition 10,900, which is what I see most of them kind of go through on the Facebook groups. And of course, fair condition 6,300. So I do believe a Eclipse GSX that needs restoration is still worth 6 grand easily, because I am starting to see all the 420As go for around that much just in decent condition. So I would actually invest into getting yourself the best possible model, which is the GSX, and just pay the 6-7 grand up front because you're paying for the trim. And then once you restore it, of course, that car's going to be worth pretty much what, 4 times the amount. So I think it's a good investment if you want to resell, if you want to restore these type of cars. Either way, I do see most of the DSM guys just kind of get them to make them fast, make them cool. They bring a lot of nostalgia, and they're honestly just a really good car to have in your garage. I highly recommend it. I do believe that it's going to be worth 40, 50, 60, 70K for a super clean one 10, 20 years down from now. So here we have a screenshot of a no reserve 1999 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX 5-speed in the color red. Looks to be stock, sold for $39,500. That was the most recent one we saw. This guy was asking $18,000 for a 1997 GSX with 65,000 original miles, had a rebuilt engine, upgraded turbo, had a cruise control, AC, radio, 5-speed. It was basically kind of stock, and he was asking $18,000. A lot of people were mad on the thread, as you guys can see, 127 likes and whatever, the little laughing emoji, 78 comments. And once you went into those comments, you kind of saw a bunch of the DSM guys just roasting the guy. And there's a comment here saying, broke boys, mad as usual, nice car, good luck with sale. I'm not saying do that. If anything, be positive, be like, hey, I don't believe it's worth that much, but good luck with the sale. Be respectful. These guys know what they have, and you have to realize that just because they were cheap back then, or you got it for $1,000, it's not worth 18,000 now. So be respectful and be mindful of the DSM guys. For some reason, the Facebook groups have like no filters. Here we have another no reserve 46,000 mile 1995 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX that sold for 34,200. So that just goes to show this is a 2GA, so this is the least desired. Most people want the 2GB, but even the 90, 95, 96 are still fetching a good amount of money. So if you do have a clean, unmolested Eclipse GST or GSX, I would actually recommend for you to post it on Bring It Chiller. You do have to pay, and they basically post it up for you, and you do have to get approved. But if you want to fetch the most amount of money, I would actually give that a shot. I would actually also recommend for you to post it on online websites like Car Gurus. I think you have to pay like a $20, $25 fee, and they let you post it up for a month. And I'm also going to go ahead and post a little video that I screen recorded here on my iPhone. I actually found 2 of my Mitsubishi Eclipses that I've owned in the past for sale on OfferUp right now. So let's go over them real quick. So as some of you guys know, I did have a white Mitsubishi Eclipse GS Turbo that we boosted on the channel. And as you guys know, I did sell this to like a 17-year-old kid. His mom went with him and bought it with him. And I did mention like, hey, these cars are high maintenance, they need a lot of work, basically not for the lighthearted. There is a saying that the DSM weed out the weak, because people usually can't handle or don't have the patience for a Mitsubishi Eclipse because they're just high maintenance, man. They're just there's something about them that that always needs something. So he did post it back up for sale. Keep in mind, this is a 1999 Mitsubishi Eclipse GS OZ Rally. He's selling it for $17,500, has 181,000 miles on it. And let's take a look at it. Still looks the same as I sold it to him. Yep, black leather interior. Still has the turbo parts on there that I had on there. Basically the same description that I had. For some reason, he says it's a rebuilt motor. That's not true. So if you're looking at it, just keep that in mind. You guys already know we just swapped a random motor on there, but it looks to be like it's the same exact car. So I kept looking, and I ended up finding this Mitsubishi Eclipse that I actually bought for $1,000. I want to say like 5 years ago, and I ended up selling it, I think, for $3,000 like a year later. It still looks exactly the same, and he is currently selling it for $6,500. So a non-turbo Eclipse is currently selling for $6,500. I sold it for like 3 grand, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. So it still has that same dent on the driver's side. Tan interior, he didn't do anything to it. That's crazy. I've never really been a fan of the white DSMs, but I prefer silver. That's my favorite color. So yeah, I guess we'll conclude the video there. If you guys want to do more research, of course, do your own due diligence. Go on Google, Facebook Marketplace, join the Facebook groups. That's probably where you're gonna find them the cheapest. But just keep in mind that they're gonna range a lot right now, especially right now. I do believe they're gonna keep going down. in price. We are going to be having a fire sale, I believe, for the next year or so when it comes to a lot of cars. So I would kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Let me know what you guys thought, and let me know what you guys think it's worth in the comment section below. I'm actually quite interested. I did try to be as unbiased as possible. Of course, I do own one, but I also do believe that these have always been underpriced. So of course, make your own due diligence. If you find a good deal on one, jump on it. These are becoming rare by the day, and I do believe they're going to keep going up in price. So I will put a DSM buyer's guide video that I made a long time ago. Other than that, I'll let you guys go. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on next week's vlog.